The feature film Witch tells the story of Ima, who is a precocious little girl, and her aimless 20-something babysitter. And in the novella that the film is based on, the babysitter doesn't have a name. For simplicity's sake, we call them X. So Ima has invented a make-believe game called Witch, and the rules are simple. 1, you can do anything so long as you can explain it. And 2, the witch is never going to stop chasing them because she is evil and they are good. And X really struggles with Ima's simplistic interpretation of the witch's motivations. They're really certain it must be something more complicated and deeper. And then as the film goes on, the game becomes real and the witch becomes real, but the rules of imagination still apply. And so X has to come to terms with what the witch really represents for them and what they're sort of really running away from. And it's a really unique piece. It's in the genre of magical realism, which means there's some horror flavors, there's some sci-fi flavors, there's some sort of enter the void art film kind of flavors, and I think that they all come together in a really interesting way. And the author of the novella is a good friend of my husband's, and she was interested in trying out a film adaptation, and she knew that I did film and sort of was like, hey, if I adapt the script, would you help me make this? And I had read the book right when it came out and was really taken with it. It's sort of got this really amazing language that's childlike but deep and meaningful and sort of very liminal and moves through all these spaces, and thinking about doing it as a film was so ambitious and challenging and terrifying. And so I sort of was like, oh yeah, okay. And then she jumped in and adapted the script, and all of a sudden it was like the ball was rolling and there we were. So it was a project that gained a lot of momentum just sort of by existing. Majority shot here, but it's shot like in the suburbs, in the woods, and in the suburbs in houses. It's sort of one of those films that's geographically specific only in a few scenes. The scene that I think is the most like Minneapolis-tastic, or there's two, is the one that Brianna was in, which there's this fairy rave that we shot in the alley between Little Tijuana's and the Black Forest Inn. It's the one that's got that really awesome mural. And that scene, to me, like if you've ever lived near Eat Street or like by MCAD or all that, really is Minnesota specific. And then the other one is the scene that we shot on the rooftop of an apartment building, and you have the Minneapolis skyline in the background, which that skyline is just so distinctive that I think that that's a scene that really sets it here. But yeah, there's one scene that was shot in Columbia, South Carolina. Besides that, it was all shot here. My favorite locations that we shot at in Minnesota, we shot in the alleyway between Little Tijuana and the Black Forest Inn that has this amazing mural, and the scene is a fairy rave, so we decorated it with all these lights and fabric and gauze and this, and everybody was in these ridiculous costumes. But I think if you've ever lived on Eat Street or near MCAD, you recognize that alleyway and those two restaurants, and they were so supportive of us shooting there, and that was a really awesome experience. And then the other scene that's really Minnesota specific is we shot on a rooftop 5 stories up, and you can see the Minneapolis skyline in the background, and it's such a distinctive skyline that I think that's one of those scenes that really sets us in Minnesota. The other thing that's funny about the Minneapolis skyline is actually a lot of people think we green screened it into that shot because we're on a rooftop, and I think people are maybe surprised that we shot on a rooftop, but also like it's a scene where we integrated a lot of the hand-drawn animation. It's a scene with the hand-drawn clouds and the hand-drawn stars, and so I think that they just assume that it's all composited, when in fact it's like we took the sky out, but the skyline and the building and the people are really there. When I found out that Witch was going to be in the 2018 Twin Cities Film Fest, I was just thrilled. I was over the moon. I was actually on a set at the time when I got the email and just was running around telling everyone. We had a feature in the Twin Cities Film Fest in 2015, and it was just an amazing experience. It's so great for networking. It's so great to get to share a work that was shot here and shot by people from here, with people from here. And I think that that's the reason I really love this film fest so much, is that it's such a great hub for Minnesota work to get this really real attention and screen on this really big, beautiful screen. And yeah, it's great. It's definitely my favorite local film fest.